Outlanders was a film that I really wanted to make. It's a story about London that I thought was really important, but it was very, very hard to get it going. Partly the problem was the script doesn't show a very pleasant side of London and a different side of London.
I want roofers, you know roofing?
True thing about us, we do everything.
I didn't say everything, I said roofing only. You, and you, in the back, don't waste my time. If you don't know what you're doing, you're straight back out on the street. And you.
And also the problem was that it was going to be starring two foreign actors that British financiers that we approached had never heard of. We've got Przemek Sadowski, who plays Jan. We've got Kuba Tolek, who plays Adam. But the internationalism of Outlanders was really important to me. It became a production where virtually everyone was not from Britain or not from London who worked on it. We've got Alexis Rabin, who's a Russian New Yorker. She plays Anna. Michael Klesic, he's Croatian. We've got Gergo Danka, he's Hungarian. We've got Olga Fedora, who's from Ukraine. Damon Younger, now he's from Iceland. Kish Sharma, who plays the burger van owner, he's second generation Ugandan Punjabi. And really important for me in making this film was that the camera team were people who weren't born and brought up in London. There's Adam Jeppersen, the DOP, who's from Denmark, and their camera operator, Ulla Pontikos, is from Poland. And I wanted to be recording images of London through the eyes of outsiders, through the eyes of Outlanders. A really hard thing about the film was that we needed a building site to shoot on. Now, building sites are not good locations to make film on because when you're making film, you need silence, and there's nothing silent about a building site. So our location scout spent months going all over London looking for a location that we could shoot on for the building site, and they found just two. And the one that I loved was this one because of the fantastic views of Docklands behind it. And you get the sense that Jan has been working on the whole construction of this new eastern side of London. Now, the big event in the building site sequence is when Mick falls from the scaffold, and that was a really difficult stunt to pull off. And thank goodness we had Michael Klesic playing Mick, because he's a guy who has done his own stunt performing in Hollywood and other places, and he was able to do his own stunt for this. Now, I wanted to shoot it in a quite special way. I didn't want to have to cut the scene from the moment that the foreman sees that Mick is falling to when he's looking down and seeing the corpse below. So what we did was this. When the foreman sees that Mick is just falling, what is actually happening is Mick is falling down onto some planks. He then runs off those planks, and the prop men pull those planks away so that by the time the camera gets to look over the edge and down, there's nothing blocking the camera's view. So the really important thing in this was the corpse at the bottom. And I cast our producer, Michael Riley, to play that corpse.
Here I am, scoffing a sandwich, just about to be killed.
And we had to do the take again and again because my producer just could not produce the performance of a guy who's about to die. But I'm very pleased with it in the end, and I'm even pleased with Michael's performance as a corpse.
Who said acting wasn't dangerous?
Another really important part of the cast and crew was, in fact, the Jaguar. The Jag became something that was loved by all the crew, and we managed to pick up this beautiful black Jaguar XJS for not much money at all. But like with everyone and everything you love, it's a bit of a love-hate relationship.
More bloody trouble than it's worth, I reckon. But, yeah, it goes pretty fast, you know.
This old wreck is completely bullshit car.
It's a beautiful old car. Complete liability, though. Bloody expensive for an old car.
of the nice 12 miles to a gallon, you know, really economical.
Yeah. Sinful car. Deserves to die.
I think so.
So, let's drown the bastard. Now, that stunt was a huge risk on a low-budget film like this because we only had one jag and only had one chance.
With every stunt, there's always, unpredictabilities, and it's your job as a stuntman to try to cancel out as many of those as you can. But anything's possible, and it is actually a dangerous thing. First thing you can do is put yourself in the shoes of a teenager again, of how would he ditch a car into a river without actually being in the car. Sticking the car in neutral, rigging it in full throttle, and just having him pop it into gear. The funny thing is, I was just thinking, a dead guy giving advice to a young, alive guy of how to throw a car off a cliff.
What's more, he was the guy who put on a wetsuit and put the chains round the car when it was in the water and pulled it back up again. So Michael Kletic made the whole thing possible. Now, that stunt gave me the biggest scare of anything during the shoot, because even though the car drove perfectly on its own towards the edge of the water, nosedived straight into it in a fabulous stunt, it was left with its bum sticking out of the water. And I thought, that's the end of my story. Adam can't dump a car which is still sticking out of the water and obvious for everyone to see. It took 15 minutes for that jag to very slowly sink, with 4 cameras turning on it the whole time. But eventually, the bubbles rose and that jag went under the water. Obviously, when we edited it, it looks like a very short sequence indeed. Like a dream, like a dream. One of my favourite sequences in the script was where Jan takes Adam on the trawler to go and pick up a load more East European migrants. And I'd imagine this lovely scene, which is cruel and cold with foul weather and a trawler picking up desperate men off the sea. Unfortunately for me, the day we had to shoot it was a beautiful sunny day, which looked absolutely fabulous. So my guys playing the migrants had to act as cold and miserable as they possibly could, because in reality it was baking hot and it was a beautiful day. Now, the trawler brings the migrants to the most superb location. This was an amazing find, a huge rusting barge sitting in the Thames estuary. I was absolutely delirious when the location scouts found this. But the one big problem about it is that the bit of land, the other side from there, is not land. That's actually an island, and it was called Dead Man's Island. It was called Dead Man's Island because during the plague they dumped corpses on it. And I certainly didn't tell the cast and crew that that's why it was called Dead Man's Island. The other problem about Dead Man's Island is that it's a tidal island, and during high tide almost the whole thing is swamped by the water. We were completely stuck, and the boats, which would normally find it very easy to take us off the island, couldn't do it at all. We had to eventually be rescued by a small rowing boat, but it wasn't Dead Man's Island for us, even though there were several people who thought we'd at least have to stay there overnight, if not perish there ourselves. Michael Riley, the producer, and I always wanted to have some aerial shots over Gdansk for the beginning of the film. It gives us a sense of time passing and the majesty of this huge industrial town which is slowly closing down its industry. And we tried and tried and tried, but on a low-budget film it's very hard to get aerial shots. On the last day that we were shooting in Poland, we managed to find the Aeroclub Gdański. So we could use this tiny old aeroplane which could just squeeze 4 people into it, the pilot and 3 of us. And it had the fantastic quality that you could take the whole side of the aeroplane away. And where you'd normally put your feet, you could lift a whole panel out of the floor of the aeroplane so you could shoot directly down with your camera. So Adam Jeppesen, Ulla Pontikos and I flew in an aeroplane with one side missing and much of the floor missing over the Gdansk shipyard, and it was absolutely fantastic. Best day of the shoot. There were so many obstacles we had to overcome to make Outlanders, but we did it, and I'm really proud of the film that we've made. I think it's an important film. I think it shows London in a way that you just don't see on the screen. It shows this new generation of East European migrants who are the new underclass and who are transforming the city. It's got an importance about it, as well as being really entertaining. It's a cracking good story, and I think, it's the kind of film that I'd like to see. Really good fun, informative, and with a real heart.